What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the AleSmith Brewing Company, and they're out of San Diego, California, and this is their Barrel-Aged Speedway Stout, the Coffee Cake Edition, and this is the 2024 vintage. So this is an Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels with coffee, vanilla, and cinnamon. It comes in at 12.67% alcohol by volume, 70 IBUs at the time of review. And this can is just over 1 year old. And I picked this one up at Red Wine and Brew in Mentor, Ohio. So huge thanks and shout out to them for always stocking some fantastic beer. And here in the Buffalo, New York area, we have stopped getting distro of AleSmith many years ago at this point. It's been probably at least 3 or 4 years, maybe even closer to 5. And every time I go down to Ohio, which is usually a couple times per year, I always go to Red Wine and Brew. And when I'm there, I seek out AleSmith beer, specifically Speedway Stout and its variants, because I love Speedway Stout. I think it is the best Imperial coffee stout. Yeah, I think it might just be the best, like at least for me. It's been around for many years. It's just a fantastic Imperial coffee stout. The variants can be hit or miss, and I've had some fantastic ones on the channel, but I also had some stinkers as well. They don't always work. This one I picked up because I've only reviewed one other barrel-aged variant of Speedway Stout. I think it was the Vietnamese coffee with vanilla. It was delicious. That was a couple years ago. So when I saw this, I was like, I like coffee cake. It's Barrel-Aged Speedway Stout. Let's give it a go. Now, when I picked this one up, it was probably about 4 months old. I picked this up in February of 2025, so earlier this year. However, so many beers in the fridge and whatnot, this kind of got lost in the shuffle. So here we are, just over a year of the canned on date. This was canned on October 16th, 2024. I'm drinking this one a couple days after in 2025. I try to a lot of times review beers like this exactly 1 year old. Didn't do it today. They also have a little spiel here. I'll read it. It says, indulge in this barrel-aged version of our Speedway Stout. Inspired by one of our favorite coffee treats, this luxurious Imperial Stout is aged in bourbon barrels, aged in bourbon barrels, boasts. It's tough. It's like you can see the font color. It's like I'm trying to, it's like the shine here. All right, so boasts locally roasted coffee, velvety vanilla beans, and a hint of cinnamon. Savor the decadent aromas and creamy mouthfeel in every sip. So just over a year old. Hopefully the cinnamon's held up and the vanilla and the coffee. But it's funny they say with coffee. Isn't that Speedway Stout is brewed with coffee? So did they add more coffee to it, or is it just whatever? It also says to put it in a snifter, and this is kind of not far off. This is like the barrel-aged glass I use. And they also say to drink this one at 50 to 55. This is on my darker beer fridge at 54 degrees Fahrenheit, so they won't be disappointed to know, oh my God, this poured out like motor oil. Look at that. Look at that motor oil pour. Try to get a decent head here. It is almost 13%. Oh, yeah. So I poured it like an idiot on purpose, which is probably hard to believe because I pour like an idiot most of the time. But you guys got to believe me. I poured like that because I want a decent-sized head because it is, we're not going to lose any of this. We're going to cheat. Because it is almost 13%. Bigger ABV beers because of the alcohol content. A lot of times also the adjuncts will end up making a head just dissipate instantaneously. That's not happening here. So what does that beer look like? Pure awesomeness in the glass. So it's pitch black, motor oil, slick looking. And then it has this like 3-finger straight up brown colored head. You can say mocha colored head. Very creamy looking, very velvety looking. There is one, as you can see, one big bubble over here, a couple other medium-sized bubbles. On the other side, there's a couple medium-sized bubbles, but for the most part, that looks like an absolutely phenomenal beer. Like as far as a huge barrel-aged Imperial Stout with those adjuncts, sure. Let's get a nose. It smells quite tasty. I'm trying to, so what I'm thinking is, you might think like I'm smelling, you're thinking to me, oh, what the hell is he smelling? Is he can't get anything? No, I'm getting a lot of flavors out of this, or a lot of aromatics. But I was looking specifically for the coffee, the vanilla, and the cinnamon. Cinnamon is here. Cinnamon is huge. It's almost like big red gum cinnamon. Like it's pretty prominent. But then there's this fudgy chocolate, and that's Speedway Stout. It's fudgy chocolate, like chocolate-covered espresso beans. Like it has big, rich, malty vibes. Dark roasted malt, coffee, fudgy brownie, more like a dark chocolate. A little bit of molasses. And I will say the cinnamon vanilla has a great kind of mixture in this one too, where it's like, I don't know, the combination of it just does it for me. If I see vanilla and cinnamon in beer, I'm usually all in because it usually produces something that I really enjoy. The barrel's here, but it's more the barrel as opposed to straight bourbon. It has like a vanilla oakiness. That vanilla, I don't know where the vanilla from the oak begins and where the regular vanilla ends, but it's a pretty big vanilla blast. Some dried dark fruits in here for sure, like raisins. Maybe like a dried fig. Dried dark cherry. A little bit of like that leathery tobacco that I don't mention as much in my reviews like some other folks, but I'm getting like that leather tobacco, deeply roasted malt. The coffee here is like a medium roasted coffee that's it's actually pretty big, substantial. It has like that espresso kind of like in your face kind of nose. But again, it's kind of blending with that chocolate and giving me like chocolate covered espresso beans. It smells really good. The one thing I'll say is it smells a little bit disjointed because like every time I go back, there's something else, but it doesn't like meld into like one thing that would be like coffee cake. It doesn't really smell like coffee cake. And what coffee cake is a cake that you eat with coffee, right? Like for breakfast. Not really. I guess you could eat it for breakfast, but like a treat, right? I just like the cinnamon and vanilla combination with that like fudgy chocolate in the coffee. I don't even care if I get the barrel in the taste. It's there in the nose, but it's not actual spirit. It's more of the barrel. So anyway, I want to get into it. Cheers, everybody. Let's see what this one has to offer. Let's go back in for another sip. So this is actually the second beer review I'm doing today. You'll see them probably weeks apart. About 3 or 4 hours ago, I reviewed Phantom Ripper from Hop Butcher, and it was delicious. But I was kind of in the mood for another beer. I don't review a ton, or I don't have a ton of days where I review 2 beers, certainly not bigger ABV. That was 7.25. But I was in the mood for a darker beer of some sort. I don't really have any like lower ABV ones right now as I'm drinking this. So I was like, you know what do we got? And then I was looking at my different cans and bottles and stuff. I was like, wow, this is just over a year old. I'm going to review it. I'm glad I did. At the same time, it's not wowing me. It's still really tasty. But I'm trying to see if I pick up their coffee cake vibe. Because if I was doing this blind, I would just think this is like an Imperial Coffee Stout aged in some kind of barrels. I wouldn't specify the barrels. I would just say generically bourbon and whiskey because this has more of a barrel presence than an actual bourbon presence. But I do get coffee. I do get chocolate. There's a little bit of that vanilla and cinnamon, but it's way bigger in the nose. Anyway, body mouthfeel. You probably hear the siren. I want to say that's a fire truck, so hopefully everything's cool. This is a bit thin. I know it's barrel aged, but it's almost 13%, and it's like lower side of full. There is a thinness here. That is a detriment to the beer right off the rip, but it's not bad. It's just definitely thin for what it is. The mouthfeel is fantastic, though. Like a mild to moderate carbonation, definitely softer than you would think, and then it has a beautiful, creamy, smooth kind of feeling on the palate. So the mouthfeel is sensational. The body's a bit thin. Somewhat disappointing. Shout out to a viewer of the channel, Harry. Comments on all my videos. Him and Billy, 2 guys that comment every single day, which I appreciate. You guys are awesome. Harry did mention recently on one of the reviews, I forget what beer it was, but I was reviewing it and I was like, everything was cool, but it's a thin body. And he said at this point, he gets disappointed quite a bit when he's drinking a big beer that should be full bodied or close to it. And I get that. It doesn't bother me as much anymore if the flavors, they nail the flavors or whatever they're going for. But I can see how that could be a detriment to some people. In this case, it is a little bit of a detriment. It's kind of a bummer. But anyway, so body's thin, mouthfeel sensational, taste pretty good. So up front it has this big, deeply roasted malt, not quite charred, but like intense roasted malt. There's chocolate, so there's a bittering chocolate, but there's also this fudgy dark chocolate. It intertwines like a medium roasted coffee or like even like an espresso, like a light espresso. Combination gives me chocolate covered espresso beans or chocolate covered coffee beans in general. Really awesome at the forefront. There's molasses, there's caramel and toffee and brown sugar and things of that nature, like, which you get typically from like an awesome Imperial Stout, but they're a little bit more subdued because of the barrel aging and the adjuncts. As it passes through the palate, I get some of that dry dark fruit, raisin, a little bit of like plum figgy thing, dry dark cherry in that realm. The cinnamon and vanilla hit about 2/3 away through the palate. Again, it's a nice cohesive blend of cinnamon and vanilla, but that kind of peters out until just straight on oak tannins and vanillins. So it has like more of a vanilla from the barrel, has that oak tannin kind of vibe, like a moderate oak tannin vibe that gives me a firmly dry finish. The spirit itself, it's very carbonated, probably because of the Phantom Ripper that I just finished reviewing, a couple hours ago. The vanilla and the vanillins, the coffee and oak thing, or vanilla, what? Maybe I shouldn't review two beer. I don't know what I'm doing right now. Vanilla and oak, it has a nice dryness, but the spirit itself is not really here. Like, I'm not getting straight bourbon, whiskey, anything of that. I'm just getting vanilla, that cinnamon, and then oak. I will say that this is not like rich and decadent to the point where it's like cloying. It has a good balance, good glass lacing as usual from AleSmith. It's a pretty well-balanced beer considering it's almost 13%. It's sweet and rich and decadent up front, but man, it has a nice firmly dry finish, mild to moderate bitterness. I mean, the base Speedway Stout is usually very balanced, might even lean a little more dry and bitter, definitely bitter. So the way I look at this beer is that I think if you just gave me this beer and I was reviewing it blind, I would say a couple things. Number one, it's a bit thin, for sure. Number two, the mouthfeel is spectacular. And number three, I love the flavors. The flavors are delicious. But you're calling this one a coffee cake edition version of Barrel-Aged Speedway Stout. I don't necessarily get coffee cake out of this. I don't get a specific pastry. I would say, it's a nice Imperial coffee stout with like some vanilla and cinnamon. But like, it doesn't taste anything near what a coffee cake should taste like. But I can't argue this is delicious. Like, it's tasty. So where do I go rating-wise? I think the taste of it, along with the mouthfeel, it's 12.67%. Because it's thin, I would think this is like 10%. Nice warming in my chest, nothing on the palate. So hides the alcohol quite well, all things considered. I think I'd give this probably like a high 4.25 into a low 4.5. So like a 4.35, 4.4. But the thinness has to be knocked down a decent amount because much like Harry said, something like this, almost 13%. It's supposed to be rich and decadent, the whole nine. It's a little bit too thin for me to really go crazy about it. So, pour the rest in here because I'm drinking this. It's a can. It's not like I'm saving it for any reason. I am going to give AleSmith's Barrel-Aged Speedway Stout Coffee Cake Edition, the 2024 vintage. I'm going to give this a... go low 4.25, go 4.15. It's the best I can do. But, always try to keep it honest with you guys. And it's good, but not great. A good variant of Barrel-Aged Speedway Stout, but not my favorite. Again, it's just over a year old, so whatever. Price point, I paid $12.99 for that can. You might say it's a bit expensive. 16 fluid ounce can, so less than $1 an ounce. Almost 13%. Coffee, vanilla, cinnamon, barrel-aged. I'm fine with it. Plain and simple. Availability, no idea. Here in Buffalo, New York, we don't get AleSmith anymore. Outside of that, I see their stuff in Ohio. Outside of that, I have no idea. They probably have a beer finder on their website, so check them out. If you've had this one before, please post in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about it. It's a very good, could have been potentially great variant of Barrel-Aged Speedway Stout. However, user error. I'm reviewing this one over a year old. I could have reviewed this one 4 months old, and it's probably more vibrant. But I would say if the vanilla and the cinnamon were more prevalent because it would be fresh, it might ruin this beer. Like if it's too heavy-handed with the cinnamon or the vanilla, I think those have kind of mellowed out over the past 6 months or whatever. But I think this is a pretty fucking good beer. Or 8 months, I guess, right? I was going to drink this in February. It'd be 8 months, a little bit over 8 months. Yeah, so it is what it is. Anyway, if you have this one, comment section. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Till the next one, cheers.